Welcome to Abstract Instincts. I'm your host, Matthew Durbridge. I've been drawing and creating art for about 15 years. This channel is kind of an idea just to show off my creative process and how I go about things, maybe teach you guys some things in the process. So I like to start with pencil because it's kind of important to plan out what you want to do. Sometimes it's hard to know what you want to do, but generally just starting is probably the best way to begin any piece, right? So I just kind of start where it feels correct and just kind of begin, try to keep a flow from that. I know that this isn't going to be my only element in the piece, so I'm not really worried about, perfection at this stage. That's another bonus about starting with pencil, is that you can correct a lot of these things, or change things that maybe don't look pleasing once you've got a little further in the piece. So I'm beginning my second, I guess you'd call it like an element. I'm just plotting out some circles here, trying to figure out pleasing a complement to the lines, because I know I want to do hard lines with pen, and I'm not really sure yet what I'm gonna do with the circles at this point, but I know they look nice to me, so I just go with what looks nice. Sometimes that's maybe the best way to make art, is what looks good to you. Just do that. So I'm just starting the inking process here. So when you're working with pens like these technical pens, sometimes it's better to not try to do the whole line in one shot. If you can, that's awesome, but I find myself turning the paper to make it easier, because it makes it easier. It turns out to be a better line, and ultimately the goal is to make a good piece of art. So do what makes it easy for you. There isn't like a cheating process in art. Like, stencils are cool. Whatever helps you make a nice piece, use that. Oh, while we're just watching, it's some. I like the Pigma Micron pen, but there are other great options out there. Staedtler makes a nice pen. Mostly these technical pens are my favorite. They dry pretty quickly, which is nice, so you don't smear your hand through. Working in pen is very similar to pencil. You want to kind of like stay away from where you've made marks, or you're gonna potentially smear the ink before it dries, right? So mind where your hands are when you're working with this stuff. So I really like cross-hatching. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe I just really like the like old engravings, and a lot of those have cross-hatching primarily as a shadowing technique. I'm not that skilled with it to make a shadowing effect, but I do enjoy it. It's very pleasing to create. So it becomes a pretty prominent feature in a lot of my pieces. If you're going to try this sort of technique, I find it's generally easier just to not worry about making a straight line so much. Just, you know, move your hand. If that makes any sense, maybe not. It's kind of like the more pressure you put on yourself, the worse you do. Some of the elements that I made in pencil, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do until later in the piece. And to balance the piece, it felt like it needed some more solid black areas. So that's what I'm going through here now. And with these close-ups, you can see areas where I missed the pencil. That's okay. You don't have to go right over your pencil marks when you're adding ink. And then also with the pencil, you want to make sure to erase that later on in the piece. Now we're on to the watercolor portion of the piece. I'm working wet to begin with. I like this technique because it's a nice way to blend. Although, truth be told, I don't think I did the best at this juncture. I think it's just because I don't, do a lot of watercolor. So I'm not. If you don't use a technique a lot, it's pretty easy to mess it up sometimes. But mistakes are part of art, and sometimes, sometimes art is made with mistakes, right? So don't worry about mistakes. It's okay. I've made a lot of cool pieces via mistakes, like for instance in the watercolor here, I let it pool up a little bit too much when it was drying, and it has that effect up in the corner that I'm not particularly fond of. I wanted more of a blend, but you work with what you made. So now I'm using my airbrush, and I'm stacking up colors. With watercolor, you want to start light to dark. This is not probably an approved technique for airbrush, but it's something I like to do. So you let the water, or the pigmented water, pool up. You hit it with just a solid blast, and then you hit it with just air and push it around. thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look into my process and understanding a little bit about how to make pieces of your own, perhaps. Please consider liking and subscribing and leaving a comment, asking me a question of some sort. I'd be happy to answer anything that you're curious about that I didn't explain very well. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to making another series video for Start to Art. I might do something a little bit larger next time. Take it easy, guys.